There was an earlier program called the CWA, I forgot the exact name of it, something Community Works Administration, something like that. Harry Hopkins started it in 1933, right when the Depression hit. Roosevelt got in. In 2 months, he had 4 million people working. In 2 months. Roosevelt got scared and disbanded it in a few months. But then the economy started to sink again, and then he came up with the WPA, which resumed government hiring. Now, it also allocated, this was a concession, 10% of it had to go for black employment. Now that was a compromise, because 20% of the unemployment was black, so 10% was under. But at least they acknowledged racism in unemployment. Many, many women were employed by the WPA, and there was training involved. I don't say it's a perfect answer, but I'll say this. If the capitalist class can't give us jobs, then the capitalist government better. And we got to see to it. This has to become a demand of our class. The bosses don't want to hire us. They want to lock us out. You better give us a job, or you're going to hear from us. That's what has to happen. We have to demand jobs from the government for every worker who needs one, at a living wage, with benefits and time off. No ifs, ands, or buts. This has got to become part of the program to fight back. It's not the only thing. We should force them to reopen the plants that they shut down. We should force them to open it. By mass action. We should force them to reduce the work week without any reduction in pay. That would solve a big piece of the unemployment problem. Let the capitalist government pay for it. That everybody works 30 hours and gets 40 hours pay, or whatever it is, 25 hours for 35 hours pay, whatever it is. The capitalist government, they can give $1.5 trillion to the banks and another $9 trillion in guarantees. They can give $750 billion to the Pentagon for killing people and oppressing them all over the world.
Yeah.
The capitalist class can sit on $1.8 trillion in cash without having to fork over a nickel. Go get it and give us a job program. Give everybody a job. It's got to be done. And pay for shorter hours. And give us the money, and we'll reopen the plants. And we know how to produce. And we'll hire some of these managers that they fired to help us get the plants running. If they can work for the bosses, they can work for us too, you know. If we give them a salary, they will, you know. So anyway, there's plenty of ways out of this. There's ways out of it. But I must point out to you, without pulling the rug out from under myself, is that even after Roosevelt was finished, it didn't overcome the capitalist crisis. Only the crisis of the workers was alleviated. Temporarily. Alleviated. The Hoovervilles were shut down. People who were living, in Hoovervilles, that's like 10 cities nowadays. They began to evaporate. They went for jobs, and they got jobs. They got placed. We're all over the place. But in the end of it all, capitalist overproduction overcame them, and they went to war. That was the only thing that got them out of the crisis. Was tank production, jeep production, airplane production, munitions production, uniform production, K-ration production, helmet production, transport production, ship production, so on and so forth. You get the point.
That's hot.
The capitalist system as a system couldn't, by civilian methods of market methods of whatever the normal process. Never got them out of it. They had reached the point where we are approximately now. They had gone through decades of mass production. Remember Ford with the assembly line? He started with the Model Ts and all that, and it got adopted in all the industries. And they shipped out cars and refrigeration was developed, electrification, so you could have radios and so on. And it was all done on mass production, but it became so productive, not just in the United States, but in Europe and Japan, that sooner or later they came a glut and the whole thing came down in 1929. And they couldn't bring it back up. So we have a twofold task. The first immediate task is to fight to alleviate the crisis of the workers right now under capitalism. And we have a long-range task, is to get rid of capitalism altogether, so that we don't have to go through this every year and every decade and every generation and lose everything we had. We got to get rid of the system because it's bringing disaster on society. So I didn't even say anything about the environment, but we could talk about that for a couple of hours. As to what the profit system is doing to the environment, and what a threat it is to the planet. Not to the planet. The planet's going to survive. It's the people, and the animals and the plants, and the natural ecology of the earth is in danger. Because profit knows nothing but profit, more profit. The class, it's not a class that thinks about things rationally. They only see things. They are the personification of profit makers. That's what they are. They're not even human in many ways. They only know give, take, take, take. And the law, it drives them just the way in that Disney thing with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, where they opened up the box and just everything came out and nothing could stop it. That's the way capitalism is now. Nothing can stop them except the masses. There's nothing that will get in their way except us, the working class. Those who make everything move are the only ones that can stop them. Because in the final now, when it says Colossus with the feet of clay, the feet of clay is the proletariat. They stand on our back. If we get out from under them, they fall.
That's right. There you go.
They fall. They can't make anything move. They can't make trains move. They can't make cars produced. They can't make hospitals run. They can't make city governments run without the workers. The organized proletariat is the only thing that stands in the way of capitalist decline and destruction. Now, I don't want anybody to think that I'm living in some dream world. The masses are not rising up now, and I don't see people storming Washington or taking over the Flint plant or General Motors or anything. That's not where we are. That's not where we are. But we have to know where we're going.
Yes.
Even if you're not there, you have to know where you're going, and you have to know how to get there. That's what's important. And history tells us where we should be going. And it also tells us how to get there. We know that nothing hurts the workers more than an economic crisis. It hurts. It demoralizes. It disperses everybody. You can't even go to the factory or the office and be with your fellow workers and talk about what to do. Once they throw you out, you're out. You're in your house somewhere. Maybe you live in a neighborhood with other workers, but they've broken up the neighborhoods too, for that reason.
Right.
To keep us apart. And sold us all houses instead of building public rental housing.